presentation, you will learn about Hindutva. Hindutva is the name by which the ideology of the Hindu right, represented by the political party Bharatiya Janata Party or Indian People's Party BJP as it is known. It is also the ideology of the cultural body known as Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh or National Volunteer Corps RSS, which was founded in 1925 and with which the BJP has strong links. Hindutva is a political ideology. Some writers point out that these groups have state patronage to a greater or lesser degree for years if not decades, but also state power provides an added edge. Criticism: use of Internet. Technocultural Hindu nationalism or the use of Internet by global Indian communities to promote Hindu nationalist ideologies has rapidly increased over a period. With the introduction of technology and various platforms like social media or Facebook, the form of cultural nationalism has changed. Scientific and technological expertise have been authorized as essential attributes of modern Indian selfhood. They have been incorporated in imaginings of the state and the nation, and they have materialized as claims about identity, community, and society. On Hindu nationalist websites, this apparent paradox is resolved by constructing a narrative where Hinduism is defined as the historical and philosophical foundation of global capitalist modernity itself, and the majority is presented as the natural heirs to that heritage. Technocultural Hindu nationalism invokes the core proposition of Hindu nationalist doctrine, the idea that India is a Hindu nation and that religious minorities are outsiders to it. The problem with this approach is Western technology is often used to invoke feelings of nationalism and even against globalization. Swati Chaturvedi, in her book, writes how people are being trained in internet shakas. She adds that on the internet, shaka trawlers receive payment for their number of trolls, writing inflammatory messages on people's Twitter, Facebook, etc. They have a target. The price ranges from Rs 40 for a limited amount of trolls. She also pointed out there are certain common characteristics like they target women, question their purity, modesty, do not have proper grammar, and even translate the Hindi words into English, forming Hinglish. Globalization as a tool. Arjun Appadurai points out that global flows of ethnoscapes, mediascapes, financescapes, and technoscapes lead to new forms of identification in the era of globalization. In all these readings of the impact of globalization, cultural nationalism appears as a throwback to another era. According to Gerard de Lenti, society today is an age of anxiety. The sudden change in consumption of clothes, food habits, relationships, and economics with globalization has led to some groups to fear the loss of identity and power. There is also a sense of loss of identity among individuals, and hence modern-day gurus emerge in a technology-driven society to fulfill this gap. In short, there are two groups, one who is offering a sense of identity, belongingness, and another who is taking it. The problem here is that if the offerer is irrational and has self-interest, the taker cannot realize that he is in a trap. This leads to large social issues, extremist beliefs, and problems like terrorism, racial discrimination, etc. Repetition of ideology. The youngster's children's brain is still evolving compared to a fully grown adult brain. That is, the prefrontal cortex is still developing. Hence, many movements even target children and make them child soldiers at times, showing them a partial picture of reality. As a result, they make risky decisions in their lives that otherwise they wouldn't have taken. Let's take this with an example of advertisements. When you first see a product on television, you may change the channel. However, when the advertisement appears repeatedly, You tend to observe it, and when you purchase in a shop, you prefer to believe and buy that product. Similarly, when ideas are presented repeatedly and there is no scope for another view of the picture, people tend to make decisions at times that are not rational. The problem with these movements is that most of the issues are used as a means to win the election or vote bank. The idea we began post-independence, that is, developing a country with a scientific temper, took a back seat. Utopian dream. The dream is of building a society based on a mythological figure. There are frequent chariot rides inviting people to join, especially before elections. However, the subaltern groups have been criticizing such dreams. Such dreams have created an illusionary world or a path that one has to lead and attain. Several printing presses have also contributed to this vision. These dreams stand contradictory as there are nuclear tests, spaceships sent to the moon, and on the other hand, leaning towards a utopian dream. Homogeneity. The premise of the group rests on the idea of homogeneity. All the subparts beliefs like tribal worship, animism, cult worship, nature worship, totemic forms and hero worship are combined into one umbrella and become one group. As a result, the other is seen as a threat. Lack of appreciation of pluralism is also a problem with such movements. Moral policing. In the newspaper, one can now and then witness where couples are thrashed for being in hotels, in public parks by certain groups. These groups claim that their culture is being westernized. They are going against the culture. However, culture in itself is evolving and a dynamic concept. These groups at times even visit pubs and hit across women even in metropolitan cities. One needs to observe how an ideology influences an individual to harm other fellow human beings for violation. Thus, unity in diversity is the solution against any kind of conflict. Silencing the voice of the other or seeing the other as a threat is not the answer for a peaceful society. Having a dialogue between cultures, religious groups would help in the development rather than attacking others. Giving space for inquiry, questioning, and mutual respect is the answer for the growth of society. Empathy and right learning should be prioritized. A symbol of a progressive nation is valuing and respecting all cultures. Thank you for watching the presentation. Do like, subscribe, share, and leave your comments about this presentation or any other topics you would like to learn more about.